So you want to know the racing verdict for Project Motor Racing. Well, you come to the right place because I am a sim racer that actually loves racing. I unironically love doing GT3s at Monza. And so on the very first day of the press access for Project Motor Racing, I went to Monza, I opened a GT3 lobby, and I had some racing. And in this video, you are going to understand what's good about Project Motor Racing, what's not good about Project Motor Racing. So some little bits for the intro just before we start. I have grown up racing. I have won loads of karting races, karting championships. I've driven a Ferrari 488 GT out in America. I've raced Mazda MX-5s in Spain. So I know quite a bit about real-world racing, about the dynamics of real-world racing, what I enjoy, what I don't enjoy, what takes away from that in a sim, and what a sim can add to it. And in this video, we're quite lucky because I'm able to add Gamer Muscle's point of view in the bottom right. So I raced against Game Muscle in this race. Make sure to subscribe to Game Muscle in the description. And we're going to take a look at the tyres in this race because when I went to Germany about a month ago and played Project Motor Racing, I found the game very challenging. I was worried that the game would be too challenging for most people on console particularly. It just was going to be outside the window of fun. And I think a lot of that had to do with the tyres. If you remember, I was driving Porsche cars, a AMG GT3, and really overheating the tyres. Well, keep an eye on the tyres here. The first thing I'd say is that when I jumped into Project Motor Racing for the first time with this press copy, I drove a Aston Martin Vantage GT3 at Sao Paulo, and I really didn't like it. I did not like the force feedback. It was a challenge. I could try and understand it. I could try and set up the car. But it just really, to me, was not on the same page as iRacing or Le Mans Ultimate or ACC or even GT7, or dare I say even Rennsport. It was very unusual. Now, worth saying, I'm not paid to make this video. I don't have a paid relationship with Project Motor Racing. They gave me a press code. They didn't tell me to say anything or not say anything other than I couldn't give this game a review score until a few days' time. And after I streamed, I got an email from them with a force feedback guide that I've tried to download. So this is not a controlled video or anything. I'm not stopped from saying anything or have to say anything. Now, it could well be the case that in that force feedback guide document, there are a load of tweaks you can do to make that Vantage experience much better, inverted commas, out of the box. However, and I will read this guide, however, I don't expect you, my viewers, my subscribers, to have to read a massive document to have a good experience out of the box. So I will take that into account. And I should also say, when I drove the Vantage, I had some extremely high force feedback effects when there was just rubbing side to side with other cars that I think was dangerous. So I will speak to them and say, look, I think you need to dial down the default settings. It's something to do with like force feedback headroom. But anyway, we come here. I've made some adjustments with my chat. We now have a good force feedback experience with the M4 at Monza, and I'm at Monza lapping. This is what I do in Le Mans Ultimate, sometimes in VR, sometimes in 2D. I've done thousands of laps here in Gran Turismo over the years. I've done endurance races here in iRacing. So this is a real, I've done it in ACC as well on the channel. Like, this is a real bread and butter combination for me. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for the car to kind of want to rotate both into the chicanes, but also like Lesmo 1. I don't want him to over rotate. I want to be able to hold some slip angle. You can see here, it's not bad. It's not bad. We'll turn into Lesmo 2. It's not bad. It's not as understeery as I had in the Sim Racing Expo. It's not as understeery as some other cars I've driven in Project Motor Racing. This is the BMW M4 GT3. I'd expect this to be a nicely balanced car out of the box because GT3 racing, for me, is designed to, you get up and racing and you're having good wheel-to-wheel battling. Gamer Muscle, I think, I might be wrong, I think he much prefers driving the classic, like, you know, old Le Mans cars and stuff like that. But for me, GT3 is where it's at for close racing. And so far, it's looking okay. You can see the force feedback down the straight is absolutely fine. We'll turn in here for Parabolica. Again, I don't want over rotation. A little bit of understeer there, but that's fine because I need to find that sweet spot where I tease the car in and I power out. Now, we will talk about Ascari in this video because Ascari is a great example of a fast chicane where you have to kind of go back through the neutral of the steering again. So you turn left, back to neutral, turn right. And in a good sim, it feels like one motion. I have some question marks about how Project Motor Racing is handling that. But you can see here I'm now hunting down the leader Hayden in his Audi R8. And by the way, there's a great selection of GT3s in Project Motor Racing and a great selection of hypercars. If to me, the selection of cars for GT3s and hypercars goes toe-to-toe with Le Mans Ultimate, which is insane given Le Mans Ultimate has a very exclusive and probably very expensive WEC license. But here you have a great selection of cars. However, I would say personally for me, because I've travelled around the world and interviewed so many WEC drivers and spent time with the teams at circuit, I really value the licensing of Le Mans Ultimate. I really value that the car ahead is actually maybe going to be Rui Andrade or Sebastian Buemi or whoever. So you are going to miss that when you do these sort of races in single player in Project Motor Racing. Maybe they can add it with mods, I don't know. Now let's have a look at the tyre situation. This is going to be interesting. So Gamer Muscle is hunting me down. I'm going to pause the video here. In fact, I won't pause it. It's just better keeping it running. So you can see that Gamer Muscle on the right hand side, his left rear is about 10 degrees warmer than my left rear. Conversely, my left front is about 10 degrees warmer than his left front. And his right front is very cold. Now he's in the Corvette, I'm in the BMW M4. By the way, two cars that you can't drive in Gran Turismo 7. I just feel like Gran Turismo 7 has missed a massive beat here by just not relentlessly adding GT3s and hypercars. But anyway, that is, I think, going to hurt Gamer Muscle in this race. I think you're going to find this very interesting. I'm very happy to hold my hands up and say when I get things wrong, 100% all the time. However, I do think in this instance, I called it right at the Sim Racing Expo, where I said I think this sim is going to be very tyre dependent. I said two things. Firstly, it's going to be very tyre dependent, and that could be interesting in races when you're hunting down someone and you've got better tyres than them because you've earned it. And also, I feel like the cars are going to handle very differently on a per car basis, and that's going to be difficult for accessibility, but it's going to be great for hardcore enthusiasts because you're going to need to set up and tune your cars. But you can see, I just wanted to show you the tyre situation. So we know Game Muscle's left rear is a little bit worse than mine. Now I was really hunting down the leader Hayden here. I was under a second. I was really trying to push it and I pushed too far. And now I'm going to drop behind Gamer Muscle. However, my tyre situation is generally better. So this is the situation I was talking about, which is I am now catching a car where I have slightly better tyres. And this is a really interesting dynamic. Remember, this is a fully custom race that I set up. So I went into Project Motor Racing, I went into custom lobbies, and I set this up. It's not like Rennsport, where that's not working at the moment. It's not like ASETEK Corsa Evo, where I think you need to pay to do that. It's not like Gran Turismo, because you can't drive these up-to-date GT3s in Gran Turismo. It's not like iRacing, because iRacing you would also need to pay for a server, and also it's just a little bit more serious. And it's not like ACC, because again I think it's just a little bit more, it's probably the most similar to ACC. And when people ask me what's Project Motor Racing most similar to, I would say it's probably most similar to ACC because of the lateral sliding you get, you can overheat the tyres, the tyre dependency. It's not a love letter to GT3 like ACC is. It can't be, because they're also including loads of other cars. This is not a competitor to iRacing in my book. If you're on iRacing and you're iRacing semi-regularly and you care about your license, your driver rating, your safety rating, I don't think you're going to see this as a competitor in any way. However, if you've not bought iRacing before because it's too expensive, this might be a gateway, or gateway is the wrong word. This might be a game that is perfect for you, if that makes sense. But for hardcore iRacers, I don't think they're going to be that interested in Project Motor Racing, but I could be wrong. That's how I see the spectrum. So we're catching Game Muscle now, and have a look at how he's driving, and have a look how difficult it is for him to maintain that traction with that left rear just smoking a little bit. My left rear is also going up a bit, but I don't think it's as bad as his. I can't see that closely in the setup I've got at the moment. But this is now a very fun dynamic with a lap and a bit to go, two different GT3 cars. I think it was open setup, but it looks to be bopped, or the whatever it is, the way these cars are set up looks to be decent. Again, in Rennsport, I think it's the case that the McLaren 720S is just like 4 seconds faster at Monza, which is quite unusual because I think Rennsport should be a Simcade, heavily bopped racing experience, and I give Project Motor Racing more leeway in having difference between the cars because it seems to be more unashamedly the cars are going to be different, and this is a bit more hardcore. There's no radar here, you can see, by the way. I think that's a compromise they should make. I think a radar is going to be almost essential for clean racing. It's going to help us do clean racing. Obviously, myself and Game Muscle, we're very, very, very experienced sim racers. And like I said, make sure to subscribe to both our channels if you're enjoying this content. So I'm pretty sure we'll both be covering Project Motor Race a lot in the future. So now I know that Game Muscle has issues with the handling of his car, and I can kind of like stalk my prey a little bit and put some pressure on. Just trying to get a break a little bit late, make him do odd lines. We go up the inside here. Now we're going to have a look at netcode. So you can see from Gamer Muscle's perspective. So it's very difficult there to go side by side. Why? My left mirror is not working. Even though I've got all mirrors, I'm running this at very high settings. And I would say, by the way, I've had a lot of people in the comments of my stream saying your game looks incredible. I take a lot of pride in my setup, and I spend a lot of money on software and equipment to try and get things recording at the highest possible settings for you guys. So we go up the inside, a little bit on the grass, get the move done. And again, a little bit of contact, but that's kind of what I'd expect. That contact to me seems realistic. However, we're about to see something that isn't realistic. And we chase down Game Muscle again. See, my left rear is now properly heated as well. So it's a very interesting dynamic to the end of this race. This is a lot of fun right now. Like when you're racing GT3s in close proximity, that's fun. I've got a 4-second penalty. That's not good, because the penalty system is not able to distinguish when you've been pushed off the track. It just gives you a track cut. Now, these might seem like small issues, but they absolutely need to be fixed if this is going to be a good competitive online experience. Like, you know, that's not immersion ending. That's just like unfair, and you can't have a competitive race that's unfair. So we're going to dive it up the inside here. 94 degrees on my left rear, you can see. So we're able to hug the apex, block the apex. Game Muscle hits us. Now keep an eye on the netcode here, because I've got the presence of mind, I would say, to go to third person. Have a look at this netcode. Now we're both in England. That's a lot of netcode. That's a lot of netcode, but it is a hosted server. But that's more than I would see on Gran Turismo, for example. And even on iRacing, I'd say that's a lot of netcode. Now that moment was absolutely hilarious, so let me play it for you. Let me know what you want to see in the comments for future videos, and I'll see you next time.
He's put me in the wall!
Oh, I thought that's a finish. Oh no!
I win. I had less penalty than him. Okay, it's very easy to pick people in this game.